I'm Dale Coates. I'm the Vice President of Member Operations and Engagement for TLMI. And I'm joined by Jack McMahon, who's hiding in the background there on mute. Jack is also a colleague of mine at TLMI, helping us with webinars, helping us with sponsor fulfillment. And if you join us or attend one of our events, you'll get to meet Jack, helping with our products and services showcase, among other things. And then we also have with us today Tim McDonough. Tim is president of Flexographics. He's a converter member of TLMI, and he's currently our board chair. And then Esteban Garcia, who's business development manager for CERM. He's one of our supplier members, and he's currently TLMI recruitment chair. So Tim, I'm going to toss it to you to just share a little bit more about your industry experience and time with TLMI.
Sure. So I have been running Flexographics since 2000, so 24 years. The company was a member of TLMI prior to me purchasing it. So the company has been probably a member for 30 years. And probably like anybody out there listening to this, figuring out why they should join, I sort of waded in very gently. I attended an annual meeting, which was great. I initially did not understand the value of really getting fully involved. So that took me probably a little longer than I wish it would have. But then I did get more involved. I went to more meetings. I met more people at Label Expo and at Converter and annual meetings. And then I was asked to join the board, which was a big commitment, but clearly happy that I did, because the industry and the association have given me a lot. So it was my opportunity to give back. But we've used TLMI throughout our entire company in many different ways, as you'll learn about probably on this webinar.
Great, thank you. Esteban, how about you?
Yes, my name is Esteban Garcia, like Dale said. Thank you all for joining. I work for a company out of Belgium called CERM. It's an MIS software for labels and packaging. My background with TLMI started when I was a converter. I've been in the label industry for over 22 years now. So I've been able to experience TLMI not only from the supplier side, but also from the converter side. Been very engaged in trying to, really, take on all the benefits, and it's been a very good opportunity, not only for myself, for the organizations that I've been a part of, to take, to be engaged, to be able to, understand how much TLMI and the group can benefit and understand what they all do. So it's more than just a group of friends, but it's more of a networking and understanding what the market is. So very excited to be here.
Great, thank you. Thank you both for spending your time with me today. So I'm going to start us off with a little review of the TLMI values. A few years ago, we did some strategic planning, a little refresh of our strategic direction, and we came up with these 3 values. So those are community, insight, and advocacy. Those values really drive all the things that we do at TLMI. We try and tie any activity back to one of those 3 values. So we're going to start with community and review a little bit more of that. So who is the TLMI community? Well, we were founded in 1933, so we've just had our 100-year celebration last year. We began as the Tag Manufacturers Institute long before there was pressure-sensitive adhesive to make the labels as we know them today. If you join TLMI, the company is the member, not the individual. So we really encourage you to have depth of your company involved with our membership. So there's an advantage to have your upper level management involved, down to HR individuals, to maybe people in operations. There are a lot of different folks within TLMI that you can network with if you join as a company, but increase the depth of the people that are exposed to our information in our membership. Currently, our membership is roughly 50% companies that are converters. And for us, a converter is someone that owns printing equipment and is printing labels themselves. And then 50% of the membership is suppliers. And that could be like Esteban with software. It can be someone that's a supplier anywhere within that supply chain to those printer converters. And we have instances where the supplier might sell to another supplier that's a member. So, people that are selling paper into our people that are making substrates that are then selling it on down to the people that are actually doing the printing. So, really diverse group of supplier companies that are involved. And then we believe right now our converter membership represents about roughly 70% of the North American market for labels. So the company sizes range from small family owned to international, very large companies with a huge footprint worldwide. So everything in between. And then in our community, we are very member driven, and then the team is just there as support. So here's our current board of directors with Tim as chair. As we mentioned, you'll see here, if you can see some of those descriptions, that we've got a range of converter members. We're a little bit weighted to the side of converters, and a range of supplier members. They come from all different types of companies within the industry, and again, all different size companies. And they are volunteers, so they're giving their time, like Tim mentioned, to TLMI because they believe in the mission and in the industry. And then this is our team, our TLMI team behind the scenes. So Lene Keene is our current president. Lene has 20 years plus experience in the industry herself, formerly with UPM Raflatac. You've met me. Rosalind Bandy is our vice president of sustainability. Roz has a lot of experience in the industry as well and is a sustainability expert. She is ex-Avery Dennison. Jessica is our marketing person and puts out all of our great marketing literature to our membership. Mackenzie helps us with events. You would see her if you came to one of our events. Linda Mattia is in the background in our office. So if you email office@tlmi.com, she's the first one to respond usually. And she also is kind of behind the scenes setting up our systems and making sure that you are connected in a way to access all of our information. And then like me, you've already met Jack. So in addition to our board driving things, we also have a lot of committees, and those are again made up of these volunteers that just are members that give up their time. In our strategic planning process, we also came up with some new strategic priorities. So those are the things here in dark: the meaningful member experience, label leadership, being a sustainability partner, and then workforce recruiting and development. And our committees feed from those strategic priorities. So currently our committees are membership, which has an offshoot, Label Leaders of Tomorrow, that we'll talk about in a moment. We have a regulatory affairs committee that's very active, a technical committee. We celebrate our members with Printing Excellence Awards each year. For sustainability, we have matrix and liner recycling committees. We have a sustainability resources committee, and we also celebrate awards for our member companies that are anywhere in their sustainability journey as a company. And then we have a workforce committee as well, and they oversee our TLMI scholarship program and also do some outreach. So you guys have both been involved in committees over your time with TLMI. Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about your committee experience and how you feel that adds value to the membership?
Sure. So Esteban and I are both members of membership currently, and that's a great group of people that gets involved at the committee meeting, and then we have calls every month. And we talk about who might be good prospects, suppliers, or converters to join TLMI. And you get to learn about a lot of different businesses. So that's very rewarding. And, work with people with different skill sets. And that's great also. But also as chair, I have to sit in on the updates from all these committees. So I do know something about each. Regulatory affairs does a great job. And kind of the messages are something for everybody. Printing Excellence Awards are important to some people. We've never gotten better than a second, but we're hopeful that we can do that someday. Matrix and liner recycling is doing great work. There's a great initiative being announced today. And then workforce and scholarship, they work hand in hand in finding out who is the future of this industry, who is going to want to run the presses, be they flexo or digital, with high schools, trade schools, community colleges, et cetera. And then awarding scholarship money to deserving students. So whatever your passion is, there is something for you on this slide, and it is important to get involved, because the more involved you are, the more you learn about the association and all the people that make it up.
Great. Esteban, how about you? What to add?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Tim. I think they all really good membership, committees. I think what I really like the most, being part of the membership is not only meeting new members and being able to be part of the ambassador group that, uh, can help you understand and get to know people. I love networking, and I think that's really good. I mean, highlighting the label leaders of tomorrow, with this, same with scholarship, is very important to understand, the future. We all run into the same issues with, the workforce. So understanding what's going on and how we can help the leaders of tomorrow is very important, but also everything else, sustainability, technical. There's so many different things that you can get involved with. And I think one of the highlights about being part of a committee is that you don't necessarily have to be in one forever. I mean, you can jump in and you can go to different ones and really, bring value to not just one, but more, multiple ones or all of them, really whatever makes sense for you, whatever your passion is, like Tim said, they bring a lot of value. So I think that's one of the things that sometimes is hard to highlight, about the membership. So that's kind of my point.
No, that's great. And we don't ever turn away volunteers as a practice. So it is a good way to get involved and get to know a lot of people on a different level, and also kind of guide the direction of TLMI and where we are in the industry with things too. So I mentioned LLT. LLT is a group that we started a couple of years ago, Label Leaders of Tomorrow. This is really for the up and coming leaders in your company, an opportunity for them to have their own networking group. This group has had 2 in-person events that were just for them. The first one was the summer of 2023, hosted by Avery Dennison, followed by this past year, we were at Domino for an event, and Labels and Labeling and Label Expo helped host that one as well. So they have a mentor program that they can apply to have a mentor in a certain area, any area of the business, but just gives them a group to network that are at maybe a more similar stage in their career than some of the folks like Tim, who have been able to be around and part of TLMI for such a long time already. So Tim, we've talked a little bit about attracting workforce with committees, and LLT is a part of that. Like, how do you see LLT being a value to your own company to support growing the workforce and being sustainable into the future?
Yeah, so it was very important to us from a board level to make a commitment, the TLMI board level, to make a commitment to LLT. And then the first thing I have to say is that Ginny, Mike, and Katie do a great job. And yes, they look young on this slide, and I'm sure they are, but there's no like age limit to LLT. You can be young at heart. If you're new to the industry, that means you're LLT, regardless of what age you are. So that's number one. Number two, at every one of our events, we carve out time for LLT to have a meeting or sit through a presentation only for them. For example, at one, I can't remember if it was Converter Annual, doesn't matter. We had a session where I sat with Greg Manns and we explained the ratio study and got into the basics of how to read financial statements and what's important and why. That's one example. And we've done similar things for HR and industry topics. But, for our company, the first thing you'll realize about TLMI is when you meet people, you can pretty much ask them anything and they'll tell you, unless they know you're a direct competitor right in their neighborhood. If they're not that, they don't care. And we love to share, and we love to tell you how to do things and how we did it. So that's what you'll find. And this is a great group for younger people here within the walls of Flexigraphics to reach out to and get ideas on sales or technology or whatever it may be. So It's been a great program, I think, for everybody who's participated, and it's become very popular. Both of those events Dale mentioned both sold out. So
Yeah.
it's really a growing and exciting young part of TLMI. And let's face it, they are the future. It's not old guys like me.
And me, old ladies like me too. Thanks, Tim. No, we're very excited. At the annual meeting that's upcoming, their session is going to be on AI, their special session, and then beyond that, they'll find a way to take a hike or go for a run or do something fun that they get to interact when they're at those meetings too. So it's been a great addition for us. So we've hit on events a little, so let's dive into events. So this is a lot on one slide. I apologize for that, but this gives you kind of a snapshot. These are all the cool logos our graphic designer did for our meetings for all of 2024. So every spring we start with a converter meeting. That is primarily for our converter membership. There are a select number of sponsors that get included in that meeting, and also some committee chairs get invited to that meeting that might be on our supplier side. But it's primarily, to me, it's like a big peer group almost of just our converter members, and they get to meet in a little bit more of an intimate setting. The content is all curated more specific to the interests that they might have as a group. So that one's in March each year. The little flags, that's our LLT. We do those typically in July. We've had those meetings so far, so look for one of those next July as well. This year, we were given the opportunity to partner with AWA as a first step of bringing back what used to be the TLMI Print Think Technical Conference. So that one, the registration is still open for that. It's open to non-members as well. So that's something you could just look up and join, even if TLMI isn't for you quite yet. It's taking place at Rosemont, at the Hyatt Rosemont, the 2 days before Label Expo opens. And we have curated one of 3 tracks of technical content for that meeting, with an eye towards having our own standalone Print Think event in the future again. Label Expos America is obviously the big show for Label. Every 2 years, we meet up in Chicago for that show. We are partners with the Label Expo folks. And we'll have a big presence there right at the entrance to the main expo hall. And we provide a lot of, our members will volunteer to be on the conference sessions and do some of the other outreach. We, through Roz Bandy, our VP of Sustainability, do all the content for what they call the Eco Stage, which is 2 days of sustainability focused presentations. And that's just happening around the corner from our booth throughout the event. So if you haven't signed up for Label Expo, you definitely want to check that out and not miss it. If you become a member, I can send you a code to go to Label Expo for the show floor for free. Then right up after that is our annual meeting. This year, it's a little bit early for us. Our annual meeting is normally the middle of October. This year, we're right at the end of September. It is our big full membership meeting for the year. The content is a little bit more converter and supplier driven, I guess. And we also have a products and services showcase. So that's really our suppliers' opportunity to do a little bit of selling to that converter base and highlight their business. And we do that on the Monday evening during a reception. Last year, we added a one-on-one networking session as well for converters and suppliers. We're doing that again this year too, so, and expanding on what we did from last year. So we're excited about that event. It's coming up in Orlando, Florida. Registration is still open until September 13th, and I'm going to give you a discount code for that at the end if you want to come and check that meeting out. But great event, lots of good content, lots of time to network. Always in a beautiful hotel, somewhere where you can get away and really focus on doing something other than your day-to-day. And then we wrap up the year each year with our committee summit. And that's where the work we were discussing with the committees, where we get to kind of see it in action. And I always say this is my favorite meeting, even though it's a day of work, because you get to see the individuals who are volunteering their time to help TLMI, driving things for this entire day and doing all our planning for the coming year. So that event is at Sheraton Sand Key, early December. And it's a good time to come. And if you're a member and you're interested in joining a committee, you can go around, like these guys said, and kind of see what might be of interest to you, sit in those different sessions. You don't have to be a member of a committee to join us. You can come there with the idea that you're going to do some research for yourself and find out what speaks to you, and then join us in 2025, supporting one of those committees. So that's a big overview of events, but I'm going to kick it to Esteban now, because he once told me that he comes to annual meeting, and even though I've just said this is the selling meeting, that he doesn't try and sell at annual meeting, and that's what he tells his colleagues too. So Esteban, explain that and what that means to you, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, I did mention that to Dell once, and I say this all the time. The annual meeting TLMI, it's more than just getting in front of people and trying to sell your product or something in that form. It's really networking, really understanding who everybody is, really understanding what the industry is going through, what's the needs, being able to help certain members with not just with our solution, but just overall, just helping them if there's anything there that I can help them from my past experience. Like I said, networking or connecting them with the right people. It's more than just an opportunity to sell. It's taking in everything that TLMI has to offer, and learning. Learning, I think, is very important. Learning and contributing to the industry. I think that's really where that was the comment that I made. It was more than selling. There's always going to be opportunities for that, but when you come here, you realize that it's more of a family, it's more of friends, and you have to understand that it's about that networking. So that's the reason that I say that, and I truly do believe it, and I think I do live by it. I don't think I've ever tried to sell it to Tim.
Nope.
So, it's just a really good meeting, and you learn a lot. I've learned a lot in the last, couple of years that I've been luckily, part of them. So that's kind of where my statement came into.
That's great, thank you. And I'll jump on something that you said. So you said the family thing, and we know if you're the new person joining a family, that can be extremely intimidating. So we do kick off that annual meeting with a new member reception the first night, and we will offer you an ambassador. And the ambassador is good for that meeting to make introductions for you as you come into this big family of people that all know each other really well and have been supporting each other for years in some cases. But the ambassador is also there for you when the meeting ends, if you have questions about your membership and how to take full advantage. So definitely it's a fun event, and it is definitely a family feel.
Well,
So
if
if
I could
we,
share
yeah,
something, sorry to
no, go
interrupt.
ahead.
And you're absolutely right. I still remember my first day at TLMI, the first time that I joined and I was able to come to an annual. It was a little scary for me, but luckily I had a really good ambassador, which is Robert Parker from Label King out of San Diego. And to this day, we're good friends, was able to meet him and his lovely wife. And to this day, we were really good friends. And I think that was what made it so much easier and easy for me to be part of it and become, more engaged with it. Sorry, I just had to add
No,
that.
that's great. Thank you. Yeah, and so Tim, circling back to converter meetings, since you're our converter and it's focused more on the converters for content, tell us a little bit about attending the converter meeting and that experience.
I will, but real quick, what makes this industry so great is that if you're a converter, we're all so different, and you need to figure out what your supply base is and who they are, and go to Label Expo or annual meeting and forge relationships with those people. So if you're a CERM house, you need to know Esteban. If you use Avery or Mark Andy, you need to know those people, because at some point you'll want to talk to them, maybe negotiate for a new piece of equipment, and those relationships forged through TLMI are pretty much priceless. Converter meeting is much less intense than the annual meeting that Esteban just talked about, being a big scary thing for a first timer. But like anything, you find your way. when I first started going to converter meetings, all the guys were there that I was terrified of, who were titans of the industry, Bruce Bell, Joel Carmody, and all those people. But, eventually you get introduced to them and you find out that they're just all trying to run label companies and do the best they can. And they're more than interested in your story and helping you, and also telling you how they do things, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much easier at a converter meeting to get time with these guys because while Dale said there are some suppliers there, it's just a very low-key environment, and it's a lot easier to get FaceTime and networking time with fellow converters, and everybody's relaxed and just ready to share stories and talk best practices. And it's a great meeting from that standpoint.
Oh, thank you. Any final comments on events before I move on? Are we good?
I think so.
Great. So I will just share that at the upcoming annual meeting, these are the things that we celebrate. We've already touched on them a little bit with the committees, but we will have Printing Excellence Awards, and that's become a really fun kind of big reveal night with videos that the winners of Best in Class can use, and the Best in Show gets that video as well. So if you haven't seen those, check out those Print Award winners. We can send this slide deck to you when we're done, so you have these links. Sustainability gets celebrated there too. And we also celebrate our Converter Supplier and Volunteer of the Year at the annual meeting. So that last night for us is a big opportunity to just celebrate all the things that are going well for TLMI, for our members, and for the industry. And then we mentioned earlier about scholarship when we were talking about workforce and that committee. So TLMI has a very well-funded scholarship program. Annually, we try to award around $30,000 in scholarship. Some of them are for our member companies' employees. So there's a special category. So if you have an employee at your company, you're a member of TLMI, they're looking to advance a degree in anything that's related to your business, they can apply for this scholarship and be considered. I think the first one that won the employee scholarship when I was part of TLMI was someone working on a master's degree in accounting. So it can be really any aspect of your company. The money is there to support the scholarships. And then we also focus on currently our college students that are in the graphics arts industry. And we are recognizing them with scholarships each year as well. We're hoping to expand that program down to high school and not just our vocational and four-year college students. And finally, I'll say that we also support the Phoenix Challenge competition, and there's a high school one of those and a college one of those. So if you never checked that out, you might check out the Phoenix Challenge site and learn more, because again, it's supporting the kids that are going to someday be the leaders in this industry, and trying to make sure that they have training and opportunity as they go through their schooling, and that they don't lose interest in what we all know is a very dynamic industry to be a part of. I was hoping Tim can maybe go back a little bit in history for us and tell us a little bit more about the scholarship program, because I think the way that it came about is really fantastic for the association.
Yeah, obviously it predates me and my time at TLMI, but quite a while ago, a lot of very smart guys, and I think it was led by Bruce Bell of Bellmark, decided to establish a scholarship fund. So he got together and reached out to some of his friends in the industry and got them to donate money, and they created what is called the TLMI Scholarship Fund, and that money is invested. So every year the goal is for it to kick off between $30,000 and $35,000 in earnings, so we can award those as scholarships. And Dale said traditionally they have gone to college students who are interested in working in the industry, but that does not mean that we won't take it a step or two down and support high schools, maybe help them buy a press, as some have, to help their students learn how to run them. And we also use the monies that way. So it is more than just scholarship, but it's a great program, and the TLMI member scholarship is historically unused. So that is a value, and it's out there. And it was just great foresight by guys older and wiser than me that realized we have to create interest in this industry and funnel employees to all of our businesses. And it was a great way to do it. And it is set up to continue for a long time. I can assure you of that.
Great, thank you. So I'll close out our little community section with just a screen grab of our member website. So we do have a member website. We call it TLMI Community. This is where we keep all the collateral. So you can come in here as a company and you can build an organization page where you can profile what your company is doing. That information feeds into this news feed. But also in the library section, there's all the slide decks from our presentations from our events. There are the recordings of things like this webinar, but all the content at our meetings. There are blackmail photos of your friends from our photographers taking all the pictures at the meetings as well that you can go and download for yourself. We have connections to a lot of our sustainability resources and our events, and it's all just housed here. So this is 2.5, 3 years old for us now. It's still growing with a population of users, but this is where you come for all that content when you're looking for anything TLMI. So Insight. So the insight's stored in TLMI Community. That's where you find it. But let's talk about industry intelligence and some of the reports that TLMI offers, because I think for a converter membership in particular, these reports really set us apart from other associations that you might have experience with. And this one in particular, the management ratio study, which we do annually, it is something that you would be challenged to buy anywhere else. And your dues price may more than cover what you would have to spend if you went out to try and seek some of this information elsewhere. So we as TLMI, for the next several studies that we're going to cover, this one, quarterly trends, and also a compensation study that we do every other year, they're all managed by another company called Industry Insights. It's they've managed our studies for years. Greg Manns is our primary contact there. They're based in Ohio. They reach out confidentially to our membership and collect information. In this case, for the management ratio study, it's financials from the prior year. So we're looking at a comparison of financial performance between your company and all the other companies that participate in the study for the year. So I'm going to pass this on over to Tim again to just make some comments about management ratio study. And since you have way more experience with it than I do, and just talk about the value and what you can gain from that.
Yeah. So management ratio study, if you're a converter, is the #1 reason to join TLMI. You participate in this and you get a book. Well, you used to get a book, now it's electronic. And it's a summary of everyone who participated. Obviously not their individual information, but there's small, medium, mid-range, and large companies. So you can figure out where you fit in that range. And 24 years ago, when I was all alone and I started getting this report, it was invaluable to me to figure out what percentage of material are the best companies using, what percentage of direct labor, and how can I get there, because my numbers aren't even close to that. And it sort of gives you an insight into your business and where you're performing well and maybe where you need some help, and frankly, what's possible and what to aspire to. So if you're a numbers guy like me, it's kind of a benchmarking dream, because it's real data. It's companies just like you, or it's companies just like you that are way bigger or smaller, and you can kind of see what they're doing. What is their cost of goods sold? What's the SG&A? What are the EBITDA levels they're trying to get to? What's the gross profit? It's all there for you to see, including your data when you participate. So for me, this was far and away the best report. I still use it to this day. We sold our business to Innovar Group in 2019, so I'm not alone anymore. I've got several plants I can call, but when I was on my own, this kind of dictated to me how the rest of the industry was doing and what I needed to improve on to get where they were. The other important one is compensation and benefits, which Dale mentioned. Again, when I was on my own, it's not like I can call anybody and say, how much do you pay a pressman? So that report breaks it out by region and it gives you the information. And it was important to me because I wanted to pay top end of scale. I felt it was fair and I felt it would help with my turnover. So obviously I needed to know what that was and how to base my rates accordingly. And then there's one that's called Quarterly Trends, which
Trends,
obviously comes out quarterly. So if you're ever wondering, you're sitting there at your office and you're all alone running your label business and you're thinking, geez, are other people slow? Are they busy? Are their material prices going up? Are their labor prices going up? Or are they going down? That's what that gives you. So it tells you for the quarter what's going on quarter to quarter. Are people getting busier? Are they slowing? Are their backlogs and lead times increasing or decreasing? Cost of materials, are they going up or down or staying the same? Same with labor. So that kind of gives you a snapshot every quarter as to what's going on in the industry based on those who participate. And the participation is pretty good. So it's really good data.
Yeah.
And then there's always a comment section if you want to comment, like COVID is killing me still, or you'll find comments like that. Lead times are terrible, supply chain is awful, those types of things. So those three reports, when I was owner operator, those were really the big ones for me and a great TLMI value.
Thank you. I'll add for this management ratio study, if you join us now, but you're interested in how you look historically for the last couple of years, you can work with Industry Insights. They will go back and let you put your numbers in the system against the data that they've already crunched for 2022, for instance, and 2023. We will launch this study at the beginning of January, and there's about 6 weeks of time in there to get your information into Industry Insights to be able to participate. And then at that converter meeting in the spring, Greg Manns usually joins us for just a high-level overview presentation of the results. We kick those suppliers that we let join us for that meeting out of the room because this is converter-only information, and we want to keep it that way. So this one is very important to us. Tim mentioned compensation and benefits study. Last year was the year for that study. It ended up being published towards the beginning of this year. That data is available in TLMI community, but we will be launching the survey for 2025 just at the end of the first quarter of 2025. So we'll finish management ratio, then Industry Insights will help us launch the survey to put together the next compensation and benefits study. And like Tim said, I've had other converter members tell me they keep this one handy all the time, just to know where to position themselves in the market to retain that workforce. And then he mentioned finally quarterly trends. And I think the big important thing here is the other two reports are ultimately available in some composite form to the rest of the converter membership, but this quarterly trends report is held just for the participants. So if you don't go to the trouble of filling it out during the quarter, you're not going to get that quarter's results. But like you said, there's some fantastic little snippets of information that may really make you feel better some of the time if you get that as you're going through a difficult quarter and you're hearing that everybody else is having the same, or just gives you that insight. And one other comment back on management ratio study and to what you're asked. And we had a company join us this year for membership. I'm new to TLMI. They got right away involved with Greg Manns to go back and do some of the work on management ratio study. And the comment they shared with me was when they went to fill in the form, they realized there were a couple things that they just weren't even measuring. So it's also some insight into these are what the other people are monitoring as benchmarks in their business. And maybe I should be looking at those things too. So lots of great resources for our converter membership tied up in these three reports. And then we added at the end of last year, fourth quarter report last year, this one goes to the full membership. So we partner with AWA, Alexander Watson Associates. For this report, it's called TLMI Market Insights Quarterly. There are 4, obviously, issues of that for the year, but 2 of them are special. The fourth quarter includes a survey of brand owners, and the data from that survey is included. In the second quarter, we do a survey of our converter membership about different things that are going on in the market, and we share that information to the full membership. So we store this in TLMI Community each quarter when it comes out. But just a nice overview of what's happening primarily in the North American market, with a little bit of information also just internationally, what's occurring in the marketplace as well. And like I said, it's new. There's history available as well in TLMI Community for some older reports that we used to use. Market Watch was one we did for years. And then AWA also usually gives us an annual report that's their labeling and product decoration report. That is the full year market report for the industry. So
This
those
is
are
a good one, Dale, because they do dive into Flexo versus digital. SKU counts are going up or they're going down. Length of runs are going up or they're going down. So you kind of get that high level of what's going on, and it may help you decide to jump into digital or to change your digital, or, you know, those type of things.
Oh, great. Thank you. So members helping members. You've heard a lot about people being friends, being willing to share information. We've made that official in some ways in the last 6 months. So we have a fantastic program called the TLMI Gurus. And it's really just come together in the last few months for our membership to start utilizing. We reached out to the membership community and we said, okay, we need experts in a lot of things because members are coming to us with questions and we don't know how to answer them, and we're not sure who to send them to for an answer. So the Guru idea came out of our technical committee, and they came forth with the first set of people that were willing to put themselves forward as these experts and take questions. We've now just in the last month expanded this also to have a section for not just label-based questions, but also sustainability-based questions. So there's a form, it's a simple form. Anybody in your company could go in, scan the QR code, a form that's similar to this would pop up. There's now an extra little section that gets you to the sustainability pieces too. But you would put in your question, you would say what your what area of expertise you needed help with, and you would say send, submit, and an email goes to all the gurus that have volunteered in that area of expertise, and someone will get back to you and hopefully be able to, if not answer your question, point you in the right direction for an answer. So we're really excited about this being a formal way for our members to reach out for some assistance for other members. It's a non-sales environment, and so that's nice too. Everyone signs a little document that says they're not going to try and sell you too much when they're answering your questions. And these people are not even necessarily the people that we see at our in-person events, but they're the people doing the day-to-day work in these facilities and are best equipped to answer these technical questions for you. So, Tim, I know this is a big one for the board of directors at the moment. Any comments on Gurus?
Yeah, like Dale said, it's a brand new program. The great thing about it is typically getting involved in TLMI means getting involved at a certain level. So I'm heavily involved. There are a few other people here at Flexigraphics who are as well, but it doesn't always go down to the plant floor level. And this program does, because we have these QR codes stuck to equipment, and if guys run into problems, and we run 3 shifts, so they can't always ask somebody that's here. If they're just stuck, they can scan that QR code and fill out the problem like you see on the form and submit it. And then, you know, I don't even have to be involved. It can be an operator on the floor. They've all got cell phones, and somebody can reach out directly to them. So we're hoping this is a really great powerful tool for our members, because we have a supply base which has a ton of knowledge that they're willing to share. So we're excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Dale, if I can add a little bit to
Yeah.
this, this to me is exactly what TLMI is. So when I was a converter, I worked for big organizations as well as small organizations, And I remember going from a big organization, like Tim said, you know, where you have the resources, you could call your colleagues at a different plant or, you know, somebody else and they'll help you with it. When I went from that to a smaller company where it was just me by myself, I missed that kind of stuff. When I got involved with TLMI, I found that, but we didn't have the gurus even then. So I was able to connect and reach out to some of the members and get, you know, help with certain things that I was actually dealing with. But having this, like to Tim's point, it's you take it to another level. You take it to the operators, you take it to pre-press people, you take it to people that are actually doing it, and they're able to you know, just connect with the people and get that resource to be able to help you or at least give you some advice on how to approach whatever your question and concern or issue is. And I think this is exactly what TLMI is. You know, it's a network of not just it's of course we are competitors, but it's a different level. You know, it's a family, it's an organization, association, whatever you want to call it. But this guru thing is exactly what TLMI is.
Great, thank you. So just a couple other benefits real quickly. We do produce a products and services guide with packaging impressions each year that helps our suppliers be known to our converters and to the marketplace. We do share your press releases on our tlmi.com website, and we do have Jessica very actively responding to anyone who takes the time to tag us in LinkedIn. So we're trying to spread the news about what the industry is up to and help our members get some more visibility in the industry. So I'm going to quickly go to advocacy in case we end up with any questions. I don't want to take too much of your time. But I want to hit on sustainability resources because this is huge. And we've already introduced Roz Bandy as the expert, and she's just available to you with an email or a phone call to answer any questions that you might have associated with sustainability journey at your organization. We've talked about the member-led piece here because those are our 4 sustainability-based committees. Roz or TLMI is also connected in all of those things that you see listed there. So Association of Plastics Recyclers, US Plastics Pact, we're actually a member of that, and we try and do things at our events to support their initiatives. She's on the board of Sustainable Green Printing Partnership. Tim mentioned a new project being announced as we are on this call, the liner recycling initiative. So that's big, and that will be moving forward in combination with a merger with C-Lab and some work that they've been doing. Sustainable Packaging Coalition, and also Roz is involved with the Wisconsin Green Tier. So if you're involved with any of those groups, TLMI is as well. And then we're doing a lot to try and keep the membership informed about any sustainability issues. So they are quarterly webinars. Roz writes a column for Labels and Labeling on a quarterly basis. And we have some maps I'll just show you a snapshot of, and some one-pagers as well that we put in TLMI community. And the maps are actually on tlmi.com because we really want to help our members be more successful with sustainability, but our bigger goal is that we help educate the whole industry. So we're trying to make as much of this available to anyone that needs that assistance as possible. So in those, just real quick, we've got a map available on tlmi.com. This one in the bottom right corner is shows you non-landfill options for your matrix waste. The one up in the top right corner is a collection of either PET or paper liner recyclers across the country. And we're our committee members, we have volunteers that are making sure these folks are in business and finding new places and updating this map regularly for everyone to use. And then our Sustainability Resources Committee is putting out information like the document you see here about liner recycling, and did you know that it can be recycled. So just doing our best to keep these things in front of our members, but also create tools that our members can use to then talk to their customers. Because, you know, if you're sitting there as a converter, you're going to generate one kind of waste. It may be your customer that's generating more liner waste or something, and they didn't need an outlet for us and for it, and this would be a benefit to them as well. So these things are available for you to share. And I also just want to hit on regulatory affairs as a resource. So we touched on this, Tim touched on this too, about the Regulatory Affairs Committee. TLMI partners with PACE LLP. Brian Vickers is our contact there. And he really keeps just attention to anything in the industry that is coming down at the federal level or the state level, legislatively or through regulations that could have any impact on what we all do. And he tries to keep our members informed. There's some really hot topic ones out at the moment, PFAS being one. That's a big one for our members. So he monitors all of that, reports to us through quarterly webinars and updates that are available for our members only. And then along with Brian, we have that member-driven committee led by Patrick Potter and Tyler Matusevic. And they are working with him just to, again, make sure that he's understanding from the member perspective what's most critical to us, that PACE may need to go and do some research for us to share that information out to the members. So occasionally we also even write a position statement. If there's something like the pending railroad strike a couple years ago, we had a position statement on that. So we can also, especially if you're a smaller company and don't have these resources, we're also there to help you with being your regulatory affairs resource and answering those questions. So any comments on those, folks? Tim, anything to add?
Oh, yeah, so it's a great committee. There's no way anybody can afford to hire somebody that knows everything that Brian does. So it's best just to rely on him. You know, you want to talk about is vinyl legal in California or extended producer responsibility, what's going on in various states. No one could possibly keep track of all that. So they do a great job of boiling that down and passing it on to membership via email form or presentations. Or the quarterly webinars. So it can get a little dry, but also if you have a specific question, that's where you go because they'll get you the answer.
Great, thank you. And then I'm just going to close with a quick slide. So in the last year, we created a bunch of opportunities for members to have additional benefits, and some of them actually pay you back a little bit of money. So for instance, ServicePerk First Processing is a credit card processing company, and they can work with you to get your credit card fees down. And that savings is savings you could obviously put towards your membership if you choose. And there is a little bit of a additional kickback in savings that you receive at the end of the year because you are a TLMI member. So there's more information about all of these on tlmi.com, and I'm happy to connect with anyone if you want to learn more about these particular benefits that we have for our members. And then let's get to the nitty-gritty. So everybody always debates whether this should be the first slide or the last slide. So we're having it as the last slide. But for 2024, our annual dues, we break it up on sales levels. There's a different tier for converters versus suppliers. And you can see that here. We start as low as $1,500 for a small company to join, which, as we've discussed a few times, there's things in here that would cost you way more if you tried to do them on your own and purchase those things. We go up to over 100 million in sales plus, we're at a $12,500 for the year. And again, that's for the company, not for individuals. So as many people as you would like can be involved. Our supplier memberships on 6 different levels. That includes having your tabletop at our annual meeting, which is part of that product and services showcase. So you don't pay anything in addition to have that showcase presence at our big meeting in the year. So it's not a membership plus an add-on for the event. The events just all have individual registration fees that you pay to attend. But that supplier number is inclusive of being able to exhibit at our meeting. For the year, we do prorate these dues. So for suppliers, we prorate, if you were to join us today, we prorate that down to half of the value that you see, and that would still get you your tabletop, and you could sign up in time for annual meeting. The converter members are prorated on a monthly basis because we don't have that tabletop factor in there. And then we're offering some sweet deals. So if you joined us today and you want to join, then you, as I said, would have your dues prorated, but we're also throwing in that you could attend our annual meeting that's coming at using our early bird rate, which was $13.95 a person to attend that event. And that's 3 receptions, 2 dinners, 2 breakfasts, all the breaks, all the content, all the networking included in that price.
And you get to hear my farewell speech.
And you get to hear Tim's farewell speech, which is, I'm sure it's going to be fabulous, but we'll be sad for him to go. If you're not ready to join us quite yet, then we would like to offer you the opportunity to come to the meeting at a discounted rate. So you could come at the member rate, kick the tires, see if what these gentlemen have shared is actually what you experience for yourself, and then connect with me to talk about joining for 2025 or even for the rest of the year, so that you can get in and take advantage of TLMI community and some of the other resources. If you're a supplier and you choose to go on the not joining route, you would not be able to have that tabletop. We do keep that products and services showcase just for our members, but you could attend and network and kind of see what TLMI is up to. So I'll close with just a QR code to join. And if you guys have any final comments you'd like to share, and if Jack is somewhere there, I don't know if we have anything in our Q&A. We might have time for 1 or 2 answers if we do. But while I try and figure out Q&A, you guys can, anything to add as we close other than a thank you?
I hope you join. It's well worth it. You'll meet a lifetime of friends, and you'll have a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot, and you'll get a lot of value for your business. And I hope to see you at the annual meeting.
Great. Esteban, anything on that?
Yeah, likewise. I think it's really cool to see new people come in and not only take from the expertise of the group and the members, but also bring in some insight and help us grow as well as an association in the industry. So looking forward to seeing any new members in the near future.
Great. Any questions for us, Jack? Or are we just wrapping it up?
We can just wrap it up. I'm not seeing anything.
Well, I'll say thank you for spending some time with us today. Thank you to my co-hosts speaking from their actual experience and not from the team point of view. That's always the most valuable way to tell our story. So I thank you for being here with me today. Thank you.
Thank you.